sort of like, some people have, I think this is maybe an oversimplification, but perhaps it's helpful. It's sort of a women of color version of Thelma and Louise on the border. It feels right. Idris feels like the perfect director for it. I didn't know until we've gone through. I'm having so much fun, and there are multiple other projects I want to work with her on, and the cast is fantastic. My mom died right after my third year of college, and key to my healing was taking Poetry for the People as a student teacher poet, like a TA with June Jordan, and Sheree Moraga's Chicano Latino Theater workshop class. Now it would be called Chicanx, Latinx. That was Chicano Latino, or like it might have been the @ sign, so Chicano, Chicana, Latino, Latina. And so writing was instrumental through the poetry with June and the playwriting with Sheree. Writing was really instrumental to me healing from my mother's passing. And this was, I wrote a bunch of short plays and exercises in Sheree's class, but this was my first full-length play. And I think the vision of it came to me, I think that, I spent half a year in Mexico recently, not that long before, in which time I became fluent in Spanish. And then I was influenced by Sheree's class, and there was a lot of talk about the border in that class, right? We read a couple of plays that dealt with the border. The amazing scholar Taya Miles, who's long been at University of Michigan but was at Berkeley for like a year or two. I was lucky in taking her class. She got a MacArthur Award a few years back, very deservedly so. She's a black woman. I don't remember where her family within the U.S. has its roots. Her scholarship, like when she was in grad school, was on black women's history and literature, I believe. My understanding of her life is that in grad school she met and fell in love with the man who became her husband, who was Native American. And she only then, when she, this black woman, fell in love with this Native American man, she realized, oh, like, this is not a new thing, a black Native connection. And she realized that the history of Native people in this country and the history of black people, once black people were brought here as slaves, have been really inextricably bound in ways, at least in certain parts. And so I think she totally expanded her scholarly focus, and really the focus of her life, to be black, Native, shared history, mixed identity, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so I took a seminar with her called Africans in Indian Country. And we looked at history, fiction, et cetera, looking at black indigenous connections, principally in the United States, but not entirely. And so she is where, so I learned about black Seminoles there, and so that's where this character, Francisca King, was from Taya's class. The setting came from Sheree, and also my prior time in Mexico, and the fact that it was a play. I feel like it's very much a black, Latinx, and indigenous play, all tightly woven together. And so Native American people in this country, I feel have never been this visible in my lifetime. And perhaps it started with Standing Rock, but now we have these two Native women in Congress. And I was reading an article the other week about how the Native American communities are really organizing themselves as an electoral body, and their votes are really being courted by the Democratic candidates for the nomination. And so I think it's timely in 3 ways. And then there's, I guess, or in 4 ways, because there's a whole, and this has always been dear to me, and has always been the play, there's a the earth is very present and the land is very present, and so while it doesn't touch on global warming, that humanity's war, industrial civilization's war on nature is also present in there, a bit more subtly, but it's also there. Unexpected encounters of culture, of theatrical forms, and so incongruity is my perpetual obsession. Why plays? Because of Cherie and Yuya Chikani, and because theater still does something that no other form can do. And it's not just the live aspect. Because you could perform a TV script live, like kind of as a play, right? I think that, and this is where the physicality I think is really crucial, because in a way, when I became a playwright under Cherie, when I took classes, I thought, oh, the theater is where poetry and the dramatic narrative and arcs of screenwriting met. But I would also say that theater is also ideally where those two things meet with music and dance. And it doesn't have to be, there can be no dance in the play. But the physicality of dance, I believe, and I would go to battle for this point, that any performance, any play needs to be deeply physical in its staging and interpretation. And so that's in large part the work of writers and directors, but I also think it is incumbent on us as playwrights, and does not happen enough right now. It is incumbent on us as playwrights to, through the dialogue we write, or this is one way, I'm not saying it's the only way, but to activate and invite actors' bodies, and to engage with three dimensions. Because otherwise, why? You know, like, it can be an audio play, right? And so I try, going back to Eugenio Barba's point, I would love any audience member to be able to follow my play on some level if the play was on mute.